Live stream on a Saturday, listening to some music, gonna drink some really good tea. For all you just joining, I'm Jesse, I'm a tea guy. We are just starting up the live stream right now, so people will be coming in. If you're watching the recording, you are a hero. You're the type of person who watches live stream recordings. Fantastic. If there were more of you, I would make more live streams. Welcome everybody. Hello, Jesse from Sam Schomburg, the Mexican. Nice to meet you guys. Good to see you guys here. Thomas says, hey, by the way, we have 3 different streams going, so if I'm mixing up questions or whatever, just trying to do my best. I have TikTok over here, YouTube over here, and Instagram over here. So we're all having a good time today. Very, very cool. Matthew says 10, got my first tea set and tea taster box delivery to the UK is crazy. Thank you so much for dealing with the UK delivery. We're opening our warehouse in the UK in November. So if everything goes well, basically from now on or November on, you're going to be able to get quick, cheap shipping from within the UK. In the meantime, thank you so much for dealing with that because I know it's annoying. Very, very cool. That Mexican says, just got my mini pot and Doi Doi pitcher bundle. Thank you guys so much. New tea stuff on the website right now. Good to see everybody. We are going to be drinking, somebody says, fresh cut. Yeah, the fro is gone. I told them not to cut it too short. They cut it a little bit shorter than I might have liked, but we're gonna find a way to live without the fro in the same way I lived with the fro. Very, very cool. Ryan says, tried to cold brew the used leaves and it works so well. Cold brew, it's really a good idea when you're done with your leaves from your session. This is not traditional, but it's something that I've seen a lot of people on the internet have told me they do with the teas. Is that you can throw this in a pitcher and you can cold brew it. So that is the way to go. Let me see if I can get my tea getting made here. I'm gonna be drinking a bunch of samples today. I was going to be drinking all these samples anyway, and I figured I might as well do it live on live stream. So I am happy to answer questions from you guys as well, but I must get through at least 3 samples of Shu Puerh tea. I know, life is hard. This is the one that I just made the video on. I'm gonna have 1 or 2 more steeps of this before changing it to another. All 3 of these are 2013 Shu Puerh teas. I have a reason for looking for specifically a 2013 Shu Puerh that I'm not going to reveal right now, but it is there. Lots of questions over here on YouTube. Will the UK warehouse ship to the rest of Europe, including the EU countries, non-EU countries? So I have a UK and an EU warehouse. UK is opening up in somewhere west of London. I don't know exactly where. I'll look up the name. They gave me the name, but I don't know the geography well enough. I think it's like Swindon or something like that. I don't know. And then there's a warehouse in the Netherlands. They will both be able to ship anywhere. So if you're in a non-EU country, it's probably going to come from the Netherlands, but I don't know. Maybe, I don't know, like Ireland or something like that. I don't know what the deal is, whether it's going to be cheaper to be doing this or that or the other or whatever. I have no idea what the tax situation is to Northern Ireland, but in any case, they'll all be there. And if you're getting it from within your area, like if you're in the UK and you get it delivered from the UK, there's going to be no customs or anything like that because I already paid those when it entered. And same with the EU. But if you're in like Norway or you're in Switzerland or whatever, or even if you're in like, Qatar, we sell every now and then, we have some people in the Middle East who buy stuff. I expect that you guys will also have cheaper, faster shipping than shipping it from New Jersey, which is where I ship everything from now. So very, very cool. Questions over here. Cheers, by the way, having some of the tea. If you're just joining and you're new to the channel, I'm your tea guy. I've lived in China for 9 years. My job there, I did Chinese comedy. I still do Chinese comedy here, but now this tea channel has been getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and in the best way, taking up more and more of my time. And I find myself increasingly just spending all my time drinking tea, hanging out with you guys, and picking out the best teas to feature on the shop. And generally kind of doing the grindy work of trying to educate everybody about tea, because if you've had Chinese tea, really good Chinese tea, it is way better. It's like having real bread if you've only had Wonder Bread your whole life, or having real coffee if you've only ever had like ground coffee powder. It is that big of a difference. But it does take a little bit more knowledge about how to steep the leaves, the equipment to use, all this sort of stuff to get that good stuff out of it. So I try to make a lot of these videos and do these live streams answering questions try to do my part in helping to raise up tea as a thing in the West. So, and by the way, if I missed your comment on anything, I do apologize, and feel free to repost it, because I'm always trying to juggle all the comments and drink the tea, and happy to be here. If you are interested in drinking some tea on this beautiful Saturday, at least a Saturday where I am, if you're interested in having some tea, go ahead and make some, because this is your notification that it is tea time. Very, very cool. Questions over here. We have questions. What up, White Grip? Doing good. What's up, fam? Questions over here. What tea are we making from CCC Productions? I am going through a sample of a bunch of 2013 Shu Puerhs today. I have 3 samples, all of which have been sent to me by my tea guy Yunqing in Beijing. If you watch the YouTube channel, you notice we put up like a 25-minute video of me drinking a really old pu'er tea with Yunqing, all in Chinese. We subtitled it. It was it's funny to say that it's harder to subtitle a 25-minute video than to actually learn Chinese and speak 25 minutes of Chinese. But for me, I speak Chinese, so it was easy to do the video. It was hard to subtitle it. So we put a lot of time and effort into the subtitling of that video to hopefully bring you guys this really immersive experience of what it's like to be in the tea market in Beijing. And so I hope you guys enjoy that. All these teas are for him, and very nice kind of clean color there. Not as dark as I would think some Shu Puerh would be after this is, I think, the 4th or 5th steep. So it's not as dark as I thought it might be, but it is very clean and clear, which is good. My hope is that one of these 3 samples that I'm drinking today will be of the quality that we can add into a future subscription box. So, cheers. Great questions over here. What does pu'er actually mean from the good emperor? That's a great question. So pu'er is a type of tea. The name originates apparently from I believe it's a Han ethnic word. A Han is a small ethnic minority group in Yunnan in the south, near the border of Myanmar, Vietnam, Laos, in that area. That's the ancestral area of the tea tree. They called the tea something that sounded to the Chinese like pu'er. The Chinese then adopted the name of that tea, pu'er, for this specific type of tea. And they eventually even named like a state in the province of Yunnan. There is a state called Pu'er. We work with farmers in Pu'er, amongst other places in Yunnan, to be able to make the tea. It's a type of tea made from big leaf Camellia sinensis plant. They pick the leaves. They go through a process of withering the leaves. They wither the leaves. They knead the leaves by rolling them. They do like a heat fixing and a wok. And then they take those leaves and then they sun dry them, or I guess you could electrically dry them, but usually they're sun dried. And then this leaf takes another step to that, where they are put into a giant pile, sprayed with a tiny bit of water, and then over 2 years turned in that pile so that they rapidly oxidize. And the result is a very, very dark, earthy, oxidized, fermenty tea. It is kind of like champagne, in the idea that like only champagne from the Champagne region is real champagne. Same thing with tea. Pu'er has to come from Yunnan. If it's not, it's just a black tea or a dark tea from another region. So pu'er is one of my favorite types of teas. And it's a type of tea that's, I wouldn't say impossible to find in the West now. There are people online like me that are selling it, but if you find pu'er tea in kind of like a regular tea shop that is not a expert, like specifically about Chinese tea, and honestly specifically about pu'er, even if you find it in person, you're oftentimes not getting really good pu'er, because the American market has no idea of these things. And pu'er is the type of thing that, like, the bad tea and the good tea literally could be 1,000 times in prices. You know, you can go to like tourist areas in China and buy a big cake of pu'er tea for, you know, $5. Or you could spend 5,000 or even more than 5,000 on a single cake. So it's really a thing. And I hope that you guys are learning something about it from going through live stream. Cheers. Great questions. We have more questions over here to answer. Especially because it comes from an ancient tea tree. I'm not sure what that refers to, but a lot of the teas here are from ancient trees. Huss Otters says, bad pu'er tea is so bad, it smells like gross fish. Yeah, that's one thing. Top thing, if you just looked at my video today, when I test especially new types of Shu Puerh tea, if that piling process is done bad, you get this like fishy smell from it, which is not good. And you really want to have like a clean, dry, sort of like musty smell to it. So the mustiness and the fishiness, like everybody's nose is a little different. Some people are super sensitive to that fishy note and can taste it, tiny parts. But usually if you're getting good quality Shu Puerh tea, you're not gonna have any of those fishy notes in there. And that's really like basic, the very, very minimum for anything that I would drink on a daily basis is it shouldn't be fishy like that. Really good questions over here from TikTok. The American market doesn't know a lot about a lot of things. That is true. I think people mistakenly believe that like because they're in a rich country, by the time stuff gets to them, it's already better than the stuff that comes from the poorer countries. And that entirely depends. Like if you really care about certain things in a poorer country, like they will bring that up to a very high level of price and sophistication to the point where it can't even really be exported because nobody in the rich countries is willing to pay what the people in the poor countries are willing to pay for it. Obviously tea, there's many different types of wealth. You go to Shanghai, that place is you know, fancy as and expensive as anywhere else in the world. You know, they spend a lot of money on tea, but also there are people who are like regular people in China that will regularly spend more on tea than people here in the Western markets will, so. Very, very cool. Phoenix Farm says, hey man, I was into tea a long time, but got burnt out. Any tips to getting enjoyment back? Have tea for yourself. Don't worry about any of this shit. Drink what you want to drink today. Like, I need to go back there sometimes because I have like, you know, I do a lot of tea stuff. You know, tea should be relaxing. It's not like you need to feel like you have to compare to anybody. You know, this is, you know, on what I did today. We just launched a new bunch of stuff on the website. And I worked really hard for months and months and months to get good stuff over. Some of it's cheaper, some of it's more expensive. Today, somebody sent me a PM being like, really shady, you're charging a lot of money. I'm like, I charge what I pay for it, and then I add a percentage of profit, and from that has to come all of my business expenses, and that's how I've done it for every tea and every tea equipment the whole time. I'm not singling out one tea to make more money than others. I just like I just try to figure out what I should do, and I just have to do it. And I have to live with that. And occasionally, whether it's outside haters or even just yourself of being like, oh, I get too exhausted overthinking about I have to have the best tea, or I have to have the tea in a certain place, or a certain type of tea, or use certain equipment, or else it's not like real Gongfu tea. Like these are all self-imposed pressures we put on ourselves. And, you know, we can't be ruled by that stuff, so. Here's over here. Shoshana Esther, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much. Shabbat Shalom to all our Jewish friends. Questions over here. Juicy Fruit Polyclay says, it's my first contest. I'm very excited. I must have missed a question about the Teapot competition. We ran a Teapot competition to design new teapots coming up. And hopefully today, actually, I'm going to do my first look through all of the submissions. We're going to come up with a couple finalists. And then once I can confirm the finalists, I'm going to go and see whether they can actually get made, because the plan is to be able to make these at a large enough scale we can give them to our subscribers, which will be super fun. So the Mexican says, love the mooncake that came with the package. Thank you so much, guys. This last weekend was the Moon Festival, Mid-Autumn Festival, and there's a traditional Chinese snack called a mooncake that we bought 300 of them, and we gave them out to the first 300 people that ordered during the Moon Festival. So if you got your mooncake, thank you so much for being part of the sale and the launch. And it was a lot of fun to be able to get people those mooncakes. I hope you guys actually ate them, because you know, they're all different flavors. So very, very cool. Jean Baptiste says, how difficult is it to source new teas for the thing? That's a great question, and a perfect segue for me to start with the next sample. I'm gonna see which one of these I want to go with first. I'm gonna go with this guy first. Another 2013 is written Chen Xiang Pu'er. So Chen is age. So like, you know, aged scent pu'er. So maybe that means that it's got a particularly strong kind of musty note to it, which would be kind of fun to have. So we are trying this, this sample right here. I'm gonna dump out my old leaves into my spill bowl. Yeah, so this is the process of trying to source new tea. I had these bags and these pu'er tea samples sent to me by my tea guy Yunqing in Beijing. So Yunqing is a friend of mine that I first met in 2011, I want to say. And then I basically, when I moved to China in 2012, his tea shop in the Beijing tea market was one that I went to probably at least once a month for like, you know, whatever, 10 years or something like that, close on 10 years. And very good friend of mine. And if you watch the video of me drinking tea with Yunqing in his shop, you'll see literally thousands of pu'er cakes, and they're all samples. It's not like he bought 1,001 cake, although he does have a lot of some. But the entire samples, like he has so many samples. He's always trying teas. He's always working with new farmers. You know, he's just like, this is what he does. He does pu'er. And so so the question is, how hard is it to source? Once you know and trust and have figured out a way, and all the import laws and blah, 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 to be able to get the tea from somebody like Yunqing or from the farmers directly, which is the people that I work with, either these like small shop owners or the farmers. Once you know them, they're never going to give you anything horrible because you have this relationship that you've built up over years. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get the best value, the best flavor. Like some of that has to still come from my own opinion of what's good. And so what I try to do is, you know, you can go right now, go to Amazon and search pu'er tea. Blah, like all that comes up. What's really good on there? Like, you know, on Amazon, it's not likely to be good, but it might be good. You never know. And so part of the challenge of tea is just like when I want good tea, I don't like search random websites. I go to my tea guy. My tea guy gives me recommendations. And then basically what I do in this whole thing is extending those relationships that I have with the farmers and with the small shop owners to you guys. I pack it up. I create English language information when the tea comes out, so it'll be in English and have steeping instructions and times and temperatures and all that sort of stuff, or be able to package it in tins or whatever the thing that's needed is. We try to figure out a way to get that last step over, and so it's hard, mostly because people in the West like drinking lots of different styles and want to try something. So packing it into smaller bags that would normally be sold in China. And also in China, like when you find a tea you like, you might buy a lot of it, like multiple kilograms. And so it's a different market for me because we have to keep coming up with new stuff in a way that, like, if I were servicing Chinese customers, I would have a couple solid teas, and then when they came back, they would be buying lots of it, like, you know, years at a time to age themselves or to give as gifts. But in the West, people don't do that. People aren't going to go on and purchase multiple kilograms of tea for personal use and gifts. So, so that means that we have to have like the unit price of the tea a little bit higher than it would be if we were selling in bigger amounts. But, you know, that's not that bad. So hopefully it's a little bit of an idea of how to source a tea. And then the more fun stuff, and honestly the stuff I'm looking forward to as much as I can do it, is actually going to the tea mountains and meeting the farmers and trying the tea on the mountain. And that's super fun. And I went the last 2 years, I've gone to China twice and to Taiwan once to do that. All those videos are on the site if you go way back on the thing. So that's a lot of fun. Questions. B says, do you have a way to get replacement parts? Sometimes I'm clumsy and broken a cup for my set. We do. Email teafriendsupport@jessie'steahouse.com. I have extras of almost everything that we can send you basically at cost. It's just a service we do for our subscribers. Again, don't buy crap on Temu. It'll show up, it breaks, you can't find them again. But I have backups of this for you, teafriendsupport@jessie'steahouse.com. And it's usually somewhere between like $15 and $20 or something like that for a part, which includes the shipping. We're not making any money on that. It's just literally what we have to pay to get it over and store it so that we have that for you guys. So a little technique here, if you're interested. I don't show this on the videos often because I only get like whatever 30 seconds before everybody loses their mind. But one fun thing you can do when starting a new tea is you can put boiling water into your Guwan first for a little while. Don't fill it up so high that you're gonna have trouble gripping it, but it's probably about halfway full right there. And then I'm gonna pour this out, use it as one last chance to wash out my cups and stuff like that. But mostly what I wanted it for was the heat, so that there's some residual heat when I add the tea leaves into the lidded cup. And that means I can now give it a shake. Ooh, interesting. Yeah, it's very musty. And I can have the a scent there. Yeah, so that's a good example of like musty but not fishy. I don't like the fishy scent. Usually it's made from the pu'er being made badly. But it is right there. We even got a little bit of bubbling coming up, which means we got some good fermentation that went on there. And first steep of this, you can already see the first steep of this one is already darker than the last one. That's actually a really good scent for this price. Cheers, everybody. There's our wash steep, excellent. Very, very cool. Daniel asks, is it better to keep the lid open? I assume you're talking about the Guwan. I like keeping it open because keeping it on there is steaming the tea, and it's kind of like hot, and it's almost like you're kind of steeping it all the time a little bit. And so I'd rather kind of have more control over that steep. The exception, I think, would be, here, you know what? These guys can go on the front for you guys. Give you guys over there. The exception, I think, is for if you have like a densely packed tea, like a tea ball or a tea cube, or a particularly dense tea cake that you took some pieces off of. I like leaving it on then so it can steam and kind of loosen up the leaves. But if it's just loose leaf like this, I tend to leave the Guwan lid off like that. There are people who actually have like specialized Guwan lid holders that can like hold the lid, but I don't have one of those. I just kind of prop it up in the dish. Cheers. We're gonna be testing this. For people who are just joining, I'm testing out new teas that might wind their way into my subscription club at some point. I know I've missed a lot of messages. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna, a lot of content there. Cheers. Wow, interesting. Very dark, very red. Interesting. Sort of very darker red show color there. Very, very cool. Lots of questions over here. New haircut looks great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Questions over here. Gus says, good to know about the fishy smell. Everybody's nose is different. I have a feeling some people are like super smellers for that smell, and a very, very small amount will bug them when sometimes it won't for other people. It is a differently tasting smell in tea than the other one. So over here, 你做学习, I'm trying to, it says, 你喜欢学习中文吗? From Relay. Is asking Claire if she likes to study Chinese. 要学中文的朋友也可以听节目. Interesting, very good. Yeah, I like the aged, very nice aged note on this one. It's really good. It does have that, I get now why he called it the Chen Xiang, like the Chen is like aged, Xiang is fragrance, so it's like aged fragrance. Interesting descriptor, but I know why they're saying that. I personally like this one better already than the first one. I've only had one sip, but that was all it took for me to know this one was at least better than the first one. Or at least that I liked it better. Hard to say what's better. Lots of great questions over here. From Qatar, loved every tea I've ordered so far. How do you get bad or weird taste? How often do you get bad or weird tasting tea from DKBX? First of all, thank you so much for dealing with the shipping all the way to Qatar. We are opening up a new warehouse in the EU, which from the Netherlands. So I believe it will be faster and cheaper for you. You'll still have to pay customs, but it should at least be a little cheaper shipping to the Middle East. I get like bad tea samples sent to me a lot. I wouldn't say a lot. I actually, in the beginning, I kind of had this more open idea, and I knew lots of people that did lots of little small tea operations. There's a lot of also hustlers in China who are not really tea people, but they will like source out some tea, put themselves in the middle, and then try to like do the communication to like create some value to be able to sell the tea to somebody else. These people are not necessarily bad, because they might be able to open up access to relationships that I don't have in tea, and relationships are very important in tea. If they have the right relationship to guarantee the quality with the tea farmer, this is not a bad way of doing things. And if I didn't know the other farmers and stuff personally, I might do it more often like that. But now that I have kind of more direct connections to the tea people, I don't get that many bad tea samples anymore. If I get bad samples, it's usually because I've asked them to do like a type of tea that they're not as familiar with. Like for instance, we're experimenting with maybe adding jasmine or osmanthus flowers to other teas, like red teas or white teas that would not normally be made with those flowers, because I think it would be fun. And so maybe the sample's bad because we asked them to do something and they're not really experts at doing it. But I think but generally speaking, especially by American standards, I really never get any bad tea. And even the bad stuff on the Chinese tea market is better than what you can get in Western grocery stores. So I'm very fortunate to have lots of great tea. Question over here. I can't find to see the black jasmine tea from the sampler box in your store. Is there a problem for me, or is it no longer available? That's from the Outcast. There was a problem with that tea. This is an interesting story. I'll reshare it, but that was one of our bestsellers on the website, and we got a bunch of complaints from people who had had it before that they're like, hey, it's not as good as the last batch. And we're like, what? What happened? So we took the tea off the site to investigate, and what we found was that one of our tea vendors, their tea vendor's family was the ones growing the leaves. They sent the tea to Beijing, but they ran out of the batch that we had been giving people, and they filled in the rest of it with a second batch, which was not bad, but it was not as good as the first one. And it was also it was different. And so eventually we figured out this is what happened. My tea guy didn't even know because his family didn't tell him. They were just like, send the order. And so we talked with him about this. It's really like, can't be doing this stuff. And as a result, I took everything off the site because I just don't know what's in any of the bags. Some of them was from the better crop, some of them was from the not as good crop. I think it was like 650 or 700 bags I had to take off the site. And I also gave a gift card to everybody who bought it during the time when I'm not 100% sure what I sold to people. Basically because this is my job as the tea guy, to be out there fighting for you and finding the good stuff. And so if there's any confusion about this, I can't have that on the site. Products like that can't stand on. So unfortunately, it's off the site right now, but we all of this has been cleared up, and the new crop is actually coming in, and I'm going to be getting samples of a new crop of the jasmine liubao that I hope to be able to put back on the site. So the goal is basically I'm going to have to start from zero of doing all of my product like checks again, but if everything passes and all of this has been communicated, I think we can put it back on the site. So maybe Christmas. But it's we're still in the middle of that right now. Checking here, you can see this has already gotten much darker. Look at how dark that is. Cheers. Somebody's like, let us take the gamble. I know, I like, it actually does, it isn't bad. It really does not need to be like destroyed or anything like that. But I also can't really sell it because I just don't know what's in that bag. I don't know how to do it. I don't want to put up a sale on the website to sell stuff that's like not that good. It's not how I want to do it. So I need to figure out what I'm going to do with those teas. I asked my accountant, and he said that if I donated it somewhere, I could potentially write it off as a loss on my taxes, which is not great because we would lose that money, but at least I wouldn't be taxed on the loss, which is crazy. So that's something I'm looking into. If anybody has any charities or whatever you think would like 650 bags of black jasmine tea, let me know. Questions over here. Whip says, I'm soaking up all this info. I have a tea pet too. It's a lychee. Nice. Very, very cool. Questions over here. Somebody says, kratom isn't tea. That's true. Were people saying it was? I didn't know that. Questions over here, Mr. Parquito. Hey, Jesse, to echo some of the requests, can you talk about the design and the name of the new teapots? I can. I have 2 of them here. The other one is in my tea place in Pasadena, but I can do that. Here we go. So there are 2 fisherman pots. This is the tall fisherman. This is from my friend Dui Dui's design. So my tea guy Dui Dui, another one of these guys I've known for 10 years that does tea professionally in China. He has been kind of designing and redesigning and designing and redesigning his teapots for a long time. And all 3 of the teapots that are up on the website now in the new drop that just launched this week, those are all from his design. Basically, he creates an idea. He works with the potters to make the pots. He makes a production run for his own tea company in China. And then as he sells them out, eventually as he's getting towards the end of the run, he's like, let me redesign it. Let me make the handle a little bit bigger or smaller or whatever. Let me make the spout a little bit longer. Let's make the, a little bit of a bulge on the outside of this place. And he'll redesign it, redesign the glaze, that sort of thing. And the end result is it just gets better and better and better. And so these 3 teapots are all part of that. This is the tall fisherman. The round fisherman is rounder and greener. And then there's also the mini Kyushu, which you can see here is a tiny teapot. I have very small hands also, so if it looks small in my hands, it's even smaller. It has this really nice kind of recessed, the lid. If you can see it from the angle, it's a little bit hard to see, but it kind of bends in. The lid itself is kind of like a dish, which is kind of cool. And it has a side handle, so you can pour the tea like this. You can grasp it really any way you want. There's a whole bunch of different ways to hold it so that you can still be able to, to pour the tea properly, however you want to hold it. Both very good teas. These are called jishu pots in Chinese, which is where I assume the Japanese got kyushu. I don't speak Japanese. I learned about these as kyushu pots because they're more popular in Japan now, but they came from China, whatever, I think 800 years ago or whatever, when the Japanese tea culture started. So even though they're known in the West as kyushu pots, I believe the Chinese jishu is the original, although I'm not an expert on the naming and the etymology. But both really good. This is good for 1 to 4 people. This is good for 1 to 2 people, I'd recommend. And I just wanted to have a tea that had a teapot that had a very good quality workmanship to price ratio. So it's really good teapot. We're not messing around though with crazy materials, but just really well made. The mini Kyushus are 48 and the tall and the round fishermen's are 68. So excellent on there. They're not on the TikTok shop. I think they're only on the jessieseahouse.com. We need to get them on the TikTok shop. So. Very, very cool. Jassy Lassie says, love the new pots. They're really fun. Questions over here. Why are they called fisherman pots from Maria S? The reason is because of the this hat that they wear. So this hat kind of looks like this sort of round hat that a traditional Chinese fisherman would wear. And so that sort of, that hat shape is where they get their name from. So there's the tall fisherman and the round fisherman. Very good question. Probably the first thing I should explain when I have those. So very good. So far, out of the 2 samples of 2013 show, this is the winner so far. Nice and musty, but clean. I would not be disappointed if this is the one that we chose. I have another sampler. I have another sample left, but this is pretty good already. I'm liking it. Questions over there. Are they handmade? So these pots are hand finished. So what they have a machine that brings the general shape of the pot, but then making the actual, making the details of the pot and the finishing of the pot, and then firing the pot. That's all done. By hand. So it's kind of like. I think that from what I understand about the process, the main difference is not necessarily pulling up the entire pot from zero. but they're not like, this is part of the thing. In order to get the pots over a little bit more affordably, I specifically did not want to have like master made teapots because those get very expensive and they use more expensive materials. These are made with bamboo ash glaze, so that's how they have that little interesting dappled pattern on them. I think you can kind of see it a little bit more in the detail. If I bring it up close, it kind of blurs together on some of the other ones. But yeah, I specifically, these are not like really rare purple clay, whatever. That purple clay teapot market is a total mess, and I honestly don't want to get involved with it right now. The only way I'd make my purple clay pots for the site, I think, is to, you know, work with the potter directly, buy the material directly, know exactly what's going into it, and then just do my best, like I always do. But I think that I don't want to wind up putting stuff on the site that I'm not happy with. Very dark. Look at how dark that is. Again, only I'd say maybe a 10-second steep, but this is very dark. Yeah, look at that. Very dark, but also really clear. See, if it catches the light, you can see in the corner there how clear it is. So very, very dark, but very clear. Yeah, look at that. Really cool. Really, yeah, you can see really clear on the TikTok here. Very cool. And on YouTube and on Instagram. There we go. We got 3 cameras, by the way, if anyone's confused, answering questions. Cheers, everybody. Oh, very nice. That's pretty good. I'm not sure I'm gonna find much better than that at this price range. I need to keep it at the price range that I could put into the subscription box. Questions, any idea of when we'll see anything from the Silversmith Village? Oh, dude, well, I have some of them on the table, the silver teacups from the silversmithing village with the really nice, like light celadon porcelain. These cups, I think I might wind up putting on the site. Also maybe some silver teapots, but they're gonna be expensive. So I'm still thinking through how best to do that. Unfortunately, like Shopify isn't a thing over there, or else I could integrate my shop with their shop. But I think I'm gonna have to have them done one at a time. It may look a little bit more like that artist collaboration we did with Zhang Jilong, the potter who we made a couple of their pieces and put them out onto the site. So it'll probably look like that. Maybe Christmas. I'm just so overwhelmed trying to get these warehouses open in the EU and UK. We're opening up warehouses in November, so like this is like all our stuff is packed and ready to go, and this is the week hopefully we get it on the ship to be able to head out there so we can open in the beginning of November. And once I get it on the ship, I'll actually feel so much better. I'm really stressed about this because the amount of investment we put into opening up the UK and EU warehouse is like bigger than the investment I made at the beginning of the tea company to start the whole thing. Part of that's a good thing is because we actually have a little bit more scale now and we have a lot of products, but it's also like, better work, and we better hit there before Christmas because we really need the November and December holiday sales to make this whole thing work. So if you're in the UK and EU, by the way, I'm going to Europe on Wednesday. All of October, I'm going to be hanging out in Europe, Italy, Denmark, Germany, the Netherlands, probably Belgium, probably France, and definitely to England to be able to have tea with you guys. So if you don't know about that, follow the channel and you can be part of the tea trip all through EU and UK. And it'll be a lot of fun. Very, very cool. Juiced Shore says, I'm in London and we'll check it out when it's live. London when? I'm probably gonna be in London from October 23rd to October 30th. I believe my flight back to Los Angeles is on the 31st. So if you pay attention to the page, I'm gonna be posting about it. You can also go to the Discord and we're gonna be posting lots of information on the Discord. You can sign up for the email list at the bottom of the Jesse's Tea House website. There's a whole bunch of ways I can try to get in touch with you to let you know when the events are coming. And you can also PM me for the information, but I'm gonna be totally honest, I got flooded with PMs and there's still about like 60 or 70 of them I haven't gotten to. So I can't 100% guarantee if you PM me, you're gonna get a response back because I'm just kind of overwhelmed with it. Cheers. Very, very cool. Whip says, what's a good place to get your tray? This Bluestone tea table and many other tables are all on my website, jessesteahouse.com. You can check it out there. Questions over here. Do I have any questions on thoughts on Taiwan or China if you visited both? What was the question? I missed the thing. It's okay if you can't answer. I'm planning to visit Taiwan for a couple months. They're both great places. Taiwan and China, both fantastic places. For Americans, it's probably going to be a little bit easier to get to and travel around Taiwan. One, it's smaller. Two, Americans can have visa on arrival there, so you don't need to do any special visas. And but both places, fantastic tea, excellent tea. I wouldn't say the same tea culture, but similar tea culture. They're both from the Chinese tea tradition. So they both have very similar kind of outlooks on tea. And even for stuff like older pu'er tea, there are a bunch of tea people in Taiwan that bought up pu'er in the 80s and 90s when Taiwan was rising and China hadn't developed as much. So there's definitely, there's even some good pu'er over there. Taiwan tea tends to be very heavy on the oolongs. Everything from light, crisp oolong to very dark oolong, roasted oolong. The mainland has 1,000 types of tea, and it's a whole journey of a lifetime to try them all. So there's definitely, China's much bigger, that's the thing. But both excellent places and both very high quality of living for the price compared to living in Los Angeles, where everything is expensive. Very, very cool. Questions. If you visit Taiwan or China, says Shabir, where can you get good tea if you don't know Mandarin? I'm not 100% sure because I spoke Mandarin, so I don't know where the people who weren't me were going. You can look into whether there are any local tea tours. Again, I don't have control over whether those are good or not, but they would be in English probably. There are tea markets, there are tea shops. You can walk in and see how good the English of the shopkeepers are. Generally speaking, a shop in a major city, you're probably more likely to find somebody who speaks some English. If you go into the rural areas of either China or Taiwan, you're going to wind up probably finding less. The further into the mountains you go, the less people speak English as a rule. But there is no doubt that speaking Chinese is a big help for me to be able to get all this stuff done. But it doesn't mean you can't enjoy tea or go to these places if you don't speak the language, but you will be kind of like having to do some more organization and stuff like that. One of the reasons I'm looking into maybe doing tours in the future for people if they want to go and do like travel tours in Asia. Very, very cool. Awesome, lots of questions. Can we get a sneak peek at the new Black Friday tea trays? Yeah, I can do that. So I'm gonna have two different types. I'm gonna show you, there's gonna be 4 types in total. They're all made from the same materials, which is wood and resin, hand poured. So this is a gunpowder, a dry steeping tray that we're going to have. These are all hand poured. I have pictures of of them making the whole thing. They're sanded and they're created by a bunch of different types of wood and then bound together with blue resin. And they have, this is a dry steeping board, so it has no holes or nothing to dump. It's meant to be used with a big bowl here to collect for the spill, and then the teapot or tea Guwan over here. We're gonna have 2 different sizes of the dry steeping tray. They're really nice. It's like very nice quality. And then let me get the other one. See if I have a sample of the other one next to me. This is going to be our, and then this is going to be one of the others. It's like a regular tea tray. This is going to have a gold cover on it here, but you'll be able to see this beautiful blue resin and wood. It drains from a tube that's attached over here. Very, very cool stuff. I don't want to go too far into it though, because we've been working super hard on these. Like I haven't had the time to show too many behind the scenes things, but we've been working with the craftspeople that are making them. They're all handmade. This one is just about the same size as the Bluestone table, a little bit smaller. This is going to be the largest one I think that we have. So hope those look really cool. I think they're going to be really, really cool. I like wood as a material, and the resin I think also just looks fantastic, and like I'm excited to have tea off of that thing, so it'll be super fun. And the whole thing is covered with lacquer as well, so that it's not going to like go bad or have the wood rot or anything like that. So very good. Solid stuff. I told them particularly to make sure the wood was of good quality. You know, we're gonna do all this work to make and hand pour these things. I don't want to use crappy wood. So it's gonna be really, really cool. So these are gonna be available hopefully Black Friday, Christmas time. And I'm sending a couple of them also to the EU and UK warehouses, so if people want them there, they can get them. So very excited to see how that goes. Excellent. Questions over here. The questions out. Faith says, what is the name of the fisherman's teapot in Mandarin? The name is Yuwang. Yu is fish. Wang is like old man, which you might know from the phrase, 塞翁失马焉知非福. They're like an old man lost his horse. Wasn't that a good thing? Old Chinese saying, which many people in the West probably don't know, so I sound like a maniac. So they called it Yuwang, Gao Yuwang, Ai Yuwang. So Duidui called it the tall fisherman and the short fisherman, but I called it the tall fisherman and the round fisherman, because I think round fisherman sounds better than short fisherman in English. Very, very cool. People saying love the matte finish. Like, it's really nice. I love the finish on these. These are going to be very, very nice. Real quality. So that'll be a lot of fun. Question, sorry for repeating. Somebody said if I drink a light floral tea after a strong pu'er, you might feel sort of high or drunk. Is that your experience or knowledge from Gestalt Ramen? If you drink a lot of tea, you get what they call tea drunk. Tea is like the caffeine from coffee is absorbed differently from tea. So a lot of people know about like a coffee rush and a coffee crash. Tea, you kind of go up lower and stay at a low but like focused rate for a while and then come back down. If you drink too much tea though, you get up to a higher and you stay high for a long time. That's the tea drunkenness. It's not entirely a, I wouldn't say it's a bad feeling, but it's not like definitely a good feeling. You can sometimes feel a little bit wired, like you just like, you know, you're there. You're there for it and it's not stopping. But everybody's body absorbs caffeine differently, and it's hard to say whether that will happen. I would say I would advise against that, not for any caffeine reasons, but just because if you are drinking teas generally going from lighter to darker, you're going to have a better tasting experience, as opposed to having this really heavy dark tea and then going to a lighter floral tea. It's going to be harder to taste those sort of lighter floral notes after you've just like bashed your face in with a very dark tea like this one. Cheers, everybody. This is pretty good. I mean, if I had to stop here, I would actually be quite happy. Chenxiang Pu'er. This is from Menghai, yeah, which is a great tea area. I love Menghai teas. Questions over here. Daniel Croman says, sorry for repeating, what do you recommend for studying? For in the daytime, if you're gonna be studying in the daytime, I would recommend raw pu'er tea, sheng pu'er. Just make sure you have food in your stomach. That's my best energy and focus tea. I have a whole bunch of them on the site. The Sister Eyes Everyday Sheng Tea is really good. My Duidui's 2017, do I have that here next to me somewhere? Duidui's 2017 raw pu'er is good. It's not in arms. Oh, here it is. Oh, yeah. This is part of the current subscription box. So you can actually save quite a lot of money on it if you get it with the current subscription, because it's highly discounted with the subscription. 2017 aged Sheng Tea. Really good. Yeah, that's what I would recommend. If you're studying at night, that will keep you up a long time. Maybe that's what you want. But like I wouldn't drink that tea after 4 or 5 p.m. if you want to go to sleep at a normal time. Very, very cool. MJ says, love a good oolong tea. Do you have a recommendation? I mean, we just launched Jesse's Tea House, Jesse in Taiwan tea sampler with 4 different types of tea. This is one of them, the Jinxuan milk oolong. Yeah, all 4 of the teas in the Taiwan tea sampler are excellent. I would recommend the Taiwan tea sampler so you get to try all 4. If you know in particular whether you like a lighter tea versus a darker one, if you like a really light, fragrant tea, the Alishan Milk Oolong is really good. That's what we have right here. Alishan Milk Oolong. Very, very cool. Questions over here. El Best or EJ Best says, hey Jesse, just found your channel last month or two as I got on board with more serious tea journey. Love the content, the work you put into tea, my man. Thanks. Thank you so much. Excellent. I'm always here to help you guys out. It's, I know, I mean, from my own journey of going through and learning my own tea journey, I know it's kind of it can be confusing sometimes, but it's like any other journey, like the fun is in the discovery. It's not about doing it right. It's about enjoying your time as you discover all this stuff, as you try all the teas, as you learn about the regions and the people that make it. You know, it would be a shame if I kind of teleported from the past to now and I know all this stuff about tea, but I didn't get to go through that. Like, that's the whole fun. That's why I like doing this as a, you know, I feel like every now, like, I hate the sort of, you know, I live here in LA, Hollywood is here. They're always like, oh, you run a lifestyle business. I'm like, I guess I do. But in the sense that, like, this is a lifestyle I've chosen for myself to be able to spend a Saturday, to be able to chill out. Like, today was my do nothing day. I slept in, I watched videos on my phone until 10:30. I took a shower, I went out specifically to get lunch. I drove out to the San Gabriel Valley to get the good Chinese food, where I had great Chinese food, came back here, drinking teas, doing a live stream. This is my day off. So like, that's the type of person I am. This is what I do on my day off. I drink really good tea and try these samples out. So I'm very glad to be doing that work for you guys. And the end result of it is that you guys get great videos and also great tea. Awesome. Questions over here. I got a free sample of West China Tea's Doodlebug Oolong and loved it. What on your site would be similar to that, do y'all think? I don't know what the Doodlebug is. Do you have any other name for it? Like, was it a specific type of oolong? I'd be able to find you something similar to that, or maybe see if I don't have anything similar, I'll let you know. Very, very cool. Lots of questions over here. Question from Daniel Croman. If you ever want to go to Universal Studios, let me know. I work there. I can get you in. Dude, might take you up on that. PM me or something like that. PM me either on, I guess you're on YouTube, so you can't PM me, but you could PM me on Instagram. It's still Jesse's Tea House. Maybe take you up on that sometime. I haven't been there in like a year and a half. It's a lot of fun. We should do like a tea friends at Universal Day. That would be fun. Universal Studio, baby. Very cool over here. Other questions. Marlies says, it seemed like maybe a bug-bitten oolong based off of the name. Very sweet experience. I have a Eastern Beauty bug-bitten oolong. I also have it's not a bug-bitten oolong, but it's the Luya red oolong. It's a oolong that is finished as a red tea, or started as a red tea, finishes an oolong. So it has a little bit of like a red tea sweetness in there, which even though it isn't bug-bitten, is very, very sweet. I actually tasted the bug-bitten and the non-bug-bitten red oolong next to each other. And it was very slight difference. So if you like that bug-bitten flavor, that Luya red oolong is good. The Dongfang Mei and the Eastern Beauty oolong is good. Both of those would be good teas to try from my site. Questions. Alex Larry, what is a tea you're thinking of getting into more into this fall? This is a good question. I mean, let's think about that. I'm in the current process of designing new teas for the page. We are experimenting with, we sent Sister Eyes teas as well as a bunch of other of our tea farmers teas to a tea orange guy in Guangdong, who they make the oranges that are the outside of the tea oranges. And so we're experimenting with filling our teas into those oranges and seeing if they work. So I'm definitely gonna be trying some of those. So getting back on the tea orange train. I'm going to be drinking and enjoying some of the nice raw pu'ers that I have from my trip to China. I have so many great samples that you know, I can kind of go through those piece by piece. Unfortunately, some of the samples are really expensive, and so like it's not actually the sort of thing I would really be looking to import, but it is definitely part of the fun. Excellent. Making sure I didn't miss anything here. Get my music back up. Great questions, everybody. I'm sorry if I missed your questions. Again, by the way, if I miss your questions, feel free to put it back in the chat. I'm gonna go back and be able to see them a second time. Questions over here. How do you get the tea into the orange? It's from Jonah Dowaway. This is a really good question. I spent half an hour trying to understand this. So one way to do it is you can use very small leaves. So there's these tiny, tiny leaves that are in here. These are called royal pu'er, and these are small leaf pu'er, or buds only sometimes, but usually it's the leaves. And those are easy enough to get in there. I've seen videos where they lay out a giant like bamboo tray basically and put the oranges with the, they take out all the fruit from the orange, put the orange peels in, dry them over many years or however long they want to dry them for. And then when they're fully dried, they will kind of dump the whole tea over the top and kind of smooth it over with their thing. So they'll dump the whole thing on, they'll smooth it all in. All the oranges become like inundated up to the height of an orange with tea. That fills them up. They take any that spilled over, was outside of there, and they'll use it for the next batch. That's one way to do it. I've also heard, similar to how tea cakes are pressed, where they'll have a little bit of steam come up to just get the leaves pliable enough that they can be bent. And then they have a way of being able to basically steam the leaves very, very lightly so they're bendable, so they'll bend in and then they'll become rigid again inside the orange. There's a whole bunch of techniques to this. These little things actually are, I would say 100%, but like a big factor in deciding what products eventually we will and won't be able to do. I might have a tea that like flavor-wise, I really would like to put in an orange, but it just can't go in there and stay this size. So then they become bigger. And if you have a bigger orange, say like the size of, they have these, the size of my sheep. If you have a tea orange this big, like I could only afford to give people like one of them for the subscription. And I don't know if that's really as much fun as it sounds, because people buy a whole thing and they're like, oh, I get one. It's also less convenient because then you have to tear off pieces and it's like hard to how do you store one giant thing of this once it's opened? So I like trying to do the smaller oranges because they're kind of like one-time use. But there's a whole process of trying to get them in. And so that's one of the things I'm going to be hoping our local orange farmer is going to be able to help us with, is using his expertise to tell us how we should go about this. From a mental perspective, I can kind of pick what I'd like to do, but I don't know if it's achievable. So yeah, it's a whole process. It's a whole process. Questions over here. Lots of great tea questions. Over here, can't stay too long because it's D&D night from Lucy. Enjoy D&D. Have a good time with your friends. Questions. Hi Jesse, what is the difference between Mao Cha and other types of images pu'er? Let's see. What is the difference between Mao Cha and other types of images pu'er, like the balls of tea you had in the recent video? My understanding is Mao Cha is just like kind of a slang term for loose sheng pu'er. So it's like, if it's loose leaf, I believe it's called Mao Cha. I could look into that again, but that's what I believe it means. And so like if you took Mao Cha and you press it into a ball, it would be a ball and it wouldn't be loose anymore. So it's just the shape. You can have good quality tea loose, you can have good quality tea in a ball, you can have good quality tea in a cake. It's important to know what you're buying when you do that. I'm gonna have one last steep of this and then try my last sample, and then that'll probably be it for the live stream, but probably got another 15 minutes or so. I'm going to refill my water. Don't leave, everybody. Don't leave. Refilling the water. All right, coming back. Yep, should be good. It's aerated as hell. I normally have a better water source, but my my water is out of commission because they didn't do the delivery recently, and I'm leaving for Europe on Wednesday, so I don't want them to deliver it until I get back anyway. So, cheers. Questions over here. Where is the silver chazla, the silver tea scoop I have from? That's from Shu Puerh. This is also from Heqing, that silversmithing village. This is my chazla, or tea scoop, that I got from there. It's pure silver on this side, and it's copper on the other. Very, very cool tea scoop that I got over here from a friend of mine in that village who's a silversmith. They were super nice to me. We did all these videos together. It was a lot of fun. And I basically had to fight him to pay for this one, because they really wanted anything I wanted. They were looking for a way to give me stuff and be nice to me. It was really nice of them. They were already too nice. And I'm like, you gotta let me pay for something. So I actually bought that one. Cheers. Over here. You know, I tried 9 steeps of this, which is much more than I needed for a sample, but the reason is because I'm pretty sure I'm picking this one. So I wanted to give a whole way through it so that everybody, so that I can know that it's really good. That is really good. I'm going to re-steep my water, try the 3rd sample, and then we're gonna be probably finished up for the day. I have a lot of laundry to do and other just kind of like holding my shit together prep for, you know, the sort of thing. I'm leaving for Europe for like 4 weeks. So I'm gonna be all over the EU and UK. If you're in the EU or UK or anywhere in that part of the world, keep an eye out for stuff. I'm gonna be doing an open kind of tea day in Rome, I believe on October 1st or 2nd. I'm gonna be in Florence on the 4th. I'm gonna be in Venice on like the 6th and the 7th, I believe. I'm gonna be in Copenhagen on like October 8th to the 10th or something like that. And then I'm going to Germany for that next week, hoping to hit up the Netherlands and Belgium and France at some point, and then go to England for the last week of October. So if you're in any of those places, keep an eye on all the channels. I'll be putting out info about where I am. And hopefully the goal is just to find people to have tea with and drink tea with you guys, and get everybody pumped about our new warehouses that are opening there. We put in a ton of time and energy and money to be able to be compliant in all the different places, and we hired companies to tell us how we need to do the labeling and to have a local responsible party and import stuff and paperwork that was needed and certificates of analysis of the tea for different chemicals and all this sort of regulatory stuff that I guarantee you all of these junky tea ads on TikTok Shop and YouTube are not doing. Oh my God, this stuff. I can't get into it, but I get served all these like horrible ads for like junky teas from multiple accounts that all have the same brand, but they're all fake-o accounts and doing AI ads to try to sell bad tea that I can't imagine they did all this work. I just can't imagine it. I think they're smuggling it in. That's my guess. Just saying it. Questions over here. Relay says, do you know what Noma is in Copenhagen? I do not. What is that? Very, very cool. Matt says, Martin, I originally bought the travel set with the pot and 2 cups, which is great. But I just placed my order for the white set. I'm excited to try it out. Yeah, if you can always start small and go up. Get just a teapot or something like that. Get the travel teapot set. Great, just all-purpose tea maker. If you wind up having a nicer set in your home, then your travel set can go to your office, or it can just go in your backpack all the time. And then anytime you go anywhere, you got tea. Lots of great stuff. Very, very cool. Callisto Zindananan says, I trust local tea shops and indie tea sellers, and just like here for the furthering the discussion. Very, very cool. There's a lot of really great tea vendors out there. Honestly, half of the challenge is finding them. This is why I spend so much time doing all this education, is because, you know, people are not gonna make good choices if they don't understand what's going on with the whole scene. And Chinese tea especially can be very confusing. There's a lot of names and Q's and X's and different types of tea, and you know, the tea types are different than previously, like you might have tried, and so it's there's kind of a lot of education that needs to be done. But that's the fun part. I like learning things. We're gonna do our final sampler. This is the first grade Shu Puerh.茶叶品类 also Menghai. 采茶地区 is Menghai. So this is another Menghai tea, another Menghai Shu tea, another 2013 tea, also kind of musty. Very glad to try it. Leaves are smaller even than that last one. The first one had these big old leaves. Second and third sampler, the leaves are smaller. Give this a try. I'm looking specifically for a 2013 tea for reasons I will reveal later. But that's what we're working with for this guy over here, giving you guys a little bit of a view on it. Very, very good. A tong of Sister's Eye Everyday Red would be tempting. Some rum. I agree with that. I'm looking into doing stuff like that. Questions. You know what cities you're visiting in the UK? That's Ray. I'm planning on being based in London. I've heard a couple people from Manchester say that it'd be worth making a trip up there. I have a friend in Bristol. I might go to Bristol. I expect, we'll 100% be doing something in London. And we'll see how much energy I have left at the end of that point. It's going to be like the 5th week of being on the road. I might be just completely wiped out and just want to relax in London and not travel so far within England. But we'll see. I'm going to try to stick it out to see as many places as possible because I know that I'm really excited to see our tea supporters there. We have people who have been supporting us from the UK and the EU, even with our crazy customs and shipping speeds and all that stuff. When I opened the site, I almost didn't allow international shipping because I was like, who's gonna pay that price? I know it's expensive, so I really do appreciate you guys for going the extra mile to get the stuff. I think it's still worth it at that price, but it is just more expensive. And so that's the whole point of opening up with these warehouses. For you guys, it's like, basically we just transfer the paying of the customs onto the side of the tea company, but I can afford to do that if we sell more. So like if we were able to increase the number of customers, like the fact that I paid the VAT when it the import, the VAT one, we can just charge regular VAT, which is like the same as anything else you'd be buying in England or in the EU. And we can just afford to basically pay the extra fees that we have to pay at customs, the import taxes and stuff like that. We can spread them out over more orders, kind of like we do in the States. Interesting here. Also, musky. Interesting. I'm almost getting a tiny little bit of that fishy smell, which I don't like. So I'm not going to judge it before I've drunk it, but I really like that second one. This third one's going to have to be pretty good if I'm going to choose it over the second one. There's a lot of interesting, it looks like there's a lot of dust in this one. And indeed, the tea liquid looks a little bit muddier. The fragrance is not as fresh as I thought it might be. Already got a bunch of strikes against this guy. So this is the sort of thing, it's like, it's not a bad tea, but compared to the one I just had, it's not as dark here and it's a little bit muddier than I would like. I'm not sure if it comes across on the camera there, but we're gonna try seeing if this is any good. I kind of like that actually. It's just a musty kind of, Shu Puerh, very basic. Sometimes like I find a lot of good teas, but there's nothing special about it. And I always, maybe I'm over worried about this because I know that, but I just don't want to wind up having like, I don't want to have teas on the website that aren't somewhat easy to differentiate. The truth is, as somebody who drinks a lot of pu'er tea, I might have 20 or 30 types of pu'er, and there may be very little I can do to explain the difference between those. They just all taste different, especially if you have a lot of pu'er, they all taste different from each other. And so you have to try a bunch to do it. But I don't like having stuff on the website that is just like difficult to tell the difference between two very similar teas. And so if I'm gonna make a new tea on the site, I like doing it in a way that's different if I can. That being said, there's only so many ways you can describe about differences within a type of tea. Interesting here, you see that it got real dark real fast. So that second steep is much darker than what we had on that first one. It is time to taste it. Here we go. That's pretty good. I didn't have super high hopes for it because there was a couple different strikes that I gave it as I was making it. The flavor is better than I would have guessed based off of those things that I was just saying. I'm gonna try one more steep of it. I'm sorry to be sacrilegious here and pour out the second steep, but I'm testing teas. I'm working here. I got to get through this eventually. I want to try to see what it's like in the middle steeps. I'm going to try another steep, but I honestly don't think it's better than that one I just had. You know, all three of them are great, and I think that they'll all be a good deal at the price point that we're aiming for. The second one is slightly more expensive than the other two, but not enough to justify how much better it is. I think it's a better value than the other two, even though it's a little bit more expensive. Either way, probably doesn't change anything for you because they're all in the same price range, so I'm probably gonna charge very close to the same. It's good, it's good, but it's not as good as the second one. So this is kind of nice because I can now enjoy this just as a tea time, finish up the live stream, but I have made my selection. We're gonna be having this guy, I think, in a future subscription box. Not 100% sure, but it's pretty close to sure. That's gonna be one of our go-tos for a future subscription box, if you can see into there. I don't know if you can see into the bag or not, so cheers. But we always have to be about half a year ahead of where we are, because in order to design the packaging, buy the tea, send the money over, purchase everything, get it packed, do the chemical testing for import, line up all the import paperwork, get the taxes done correctly going in, customs fees, importing, you know, boat shipping, which takes a lot longer, but it saves everybody money, and then onboarding it into multiple systems. It takes a long time to get the teas ready, and we come out with 3 new teas every 3 months for the subscription. So we're basically working about half a year ahead of wherever the website is. And so it's a little bit of a challenge because, like, mentally I have ADHD. It's hard to think half a year ahead. But because the tea company has been growing and you guys have been so amazing, like we have, I think, about 1,500 subscribers, which is awesome. And that's 1,500 people that I have to get good tea for every quarter. So if you join the subscription club, that's the best you're gonna get for like value on the website, because we give a huge discount to the subscribers. And the subscription is $58 per quarter. So it's like comes to less than $20 a month. And if you subscribe, you get 10% off that. So you're paying like $53 for 3 teas that come once every quarter. And so these are the teas that I can actually get at a large enough scale to start bringing the price down and get this all moving. And that's why I can give a pretty significant discount off of them. Usually that $53 worth of tea, if you were to buy it separately on the website, comes out to closer to something like 70. So it's like basically like $70 worth of tea that you get for 53, and then you can add in a teapot and a teacup to every box if you want as well, which is really nice. So yeah, so the subscription is a big thing. If you guys didn't know, we run a tea club. And if you're in the EU and UK, you can feel free to wait until November to join, because if you join then, you'll be getting fulfilled directly from those from the EU and UK warehouses. Cheers. Very, very cool. Questions over here. When are you making Tea 101 Part 3? I set myself a goal to try to record it before I leave for Europe on Wednesday. I still need to write the thing. Maybe I can get that done tomorrow. I really want to do more videos like that, but I'm like, I need to figure something out, because I am definitely in a, you know, I don't want to wind up overworking myself to do tea, because like, what's the point of, like, if I'm grinding doing tea, that's a problem. But on the other hand, it's like, it's hard to write these things. I think people don't know like how much energy goes into making even like basic YouTube videos now. So I'm sure everybody, I know I don't feel pressured from you. I know you're not pressuring me to go and like just jump on and just like grind all the time making videos, but it's on my list of things I want to do. And honestly, my whole plan for 2025, I'm coming up with my plan for next year already, is like to try to find ways of making the whole import-export part of the company run smoother so that I can remove myself from those operations and start just making more content, collaborating with more people, doing more shows on the road, tea and comedy shows, you know, going back and spending more time in Asia to be able to find better teas and make video, potentially even leading some of those tea tours. Like there's so much stuff I want to do. Like, you know, we had a meeting on Wednesday and I was discussing, okay, we need to make sure how many boxes are on each of these pallets. And I'm like, I'm spending my time counting boxes on pallets in Asia, going to different warehouses. Is like, this isn't how I should be spending my time. I have a great team that I built up over the last couple of years that have been helping. I'm not doing this all alone at all. Most of this actually they're helping with, but it's not like completely off my plate. So the goal is to move more stuff completely off my plate so I have time to play around on the internet with you guys. That would be the dream. So very, very cool. I think I'm gonna get going now. It's I've been on the live stream for a little over an hour, I think. According to here, I've been on for 75 minutes. Okay, great. So it's great tea time. I'm glad I was able to do some of the tasting with you guys. This is actually kind of a little bit of fun if you're wondering how I select teas for the subscription. These samples I had sent in the mail, but a lot of times I bring the samples back with me from China. I bring back way more samples than I have tried over there or could try over there, just so that when it comes time to having a Saturday afternoon where I'm not super busy, I can sit down, try a whole bunch of these teas, you know, see what I think. And I'm very excited. I think the second one I got, I actually really, really like that. I think this bad boy is gonna go in a future subscription box. So this is, so great afternoon here. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it. If you missed tea time, Yakuman is saying, oh, I missed tea time. If you're on YouTube, which you are, in, you know, I don't know, half an hour, however long it takes to upload this whole video will get uploaded. Also, just a reminder for you guys, if you want to try any of the tea stuff, join the tea club, get one of the new teapots. It's all on the website, jessie'steahouse.com. I'm Jesse, it's my tea house. I get the stuff directly from my friends in China who are tea farmers, small shop owners, porcelain people. Get it over to the site. If you have any problems with stuff, you can find me. Tea friend support at jessie'steahouse.com will work through any problems we have with you guys. I'm really out here to try to support new people getting into tea, and also for people who are experienced tea people, get them access to some older age teas easy. You know, I think a lot of people on the internet, if you're in the very, very tight circle of people who have their own ways of getting Chinese tea and having somebody bring it back in a suitcase or even kind of send it over one bag at a time, which is technically illegal, but whatever. There are people that have access to these things, but most people don't have access to really good quality Chinese tea. And even if you live in a mega city, you know, there's, and I live in Los Angeles, there are places that have good Chinese tea, but like better than what I was just drinking, not that many. So it's, even for people in a mega up on live stream. Hope you guys had a great time. Thank you, Emily, for getting me to 6K likes. Appreciate it. And I'll see you guys around. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Have a good one.